from Malaysia.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, they published a very good journal on Malaysian.
Also in Thailand,
Mhm.
yeah, some of our lecturers get their master degree in Thailand.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to ask you, is this the right books? The poor economics. Sorry.
Pardon, is it?
Yeah, I found the books.
Mhm.
Uh, poor economics. Yeah,
This is the
where
Nobel
is it?
laureate who wrote it on the basis of his experiments in India and other countries.
Ah, okay.
A book about PAL, Poverty Action Lab, Abdul Karim Poverty Action Lab.
Abdul Karim. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's from Ib. Yeah. What's his name? I forgot the name.
this is Abhijit Bhattacharya. He got a Nobel Prize this year in
Mm.
economics.
Mm. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, I think we can start now. Yeah.
we should start. We
Yeah.
should start. I'm waiting. Yes. So
Yeah. Yeah. We only have 1.5 hours, Prof. Kumar.
let's begin.
Yes.
Very nice. I have a lot to thank my listeners, my students like Yadi and Gagang and others who are there, because it is very difficult to talk with a distance, thousands of kilometers away. The net speed may not be good. There is no connection. I do not have any control over the students, and still they are listening, and they wrote so nice feedback answers. Is a matter of pride. You are very good. Thank you very much for cooperating. And City, you are you are a very nice teacher who have collected
Thank
all
you.
of them on a very specialized topic. I was talking
Thank
to
you.
somebody, one of my students, currently in Readings University in US, in UK, and he said that qualitative research is an important course that we have altogether. And all those who go to agriculture or animal husbandry have to study. Last time we talked a very preliminary thing about what is qualitative research. And I think I got very good answers that qualitative research is not collecting numbers, is not collecting data through survey, just sending the questionnaire and getting the data. And, and Anita has written very well that it is also a human relationship that has to be developed. There are many stories about how anthropologists, a very specialized social scientist who deal with human development, human civilization, human culture, they adopt very different kind of methods. So today I'm going to talk about ethnographic field work. How do ethnographers, in a little while I'll tell you who are ethnographers, how do ethnographers conduct their field work? This has come as a very standardized practice that if I have to learn about Bali culture or a Java culture or culture of one of your islands, how should I approach? How many days or months I should live there? What should I do to mix with people? So there are rules and protocols about it. This is no more left to the chance of the investigator that how does it happen. So today I'll talk about ethnographic field work, entering into another culture and trying to understand. Before I do that, slides, let me tell you, in India, we had very different kind of experience about anthropology. Before the Britishers invaded India, they sent anthropologists. Anthropologists came in the guise of in the dress of researchers, and they spread into far off areas. They stayed there. They learned the language. They married there. They had children. Stayed 10, 15 years, and then collected the secret of tribes, secret of certain types of people. They thought that there are a lot of different kind of knowledge in India. Knowledge about herbs, knowledge about medicine, natural medicine, knowledge about healing, how to heal people. So many of these secrets came and later they came in the form of books. And we knew that before Britishers came, they investigated our culture our society and decided that we should come here. So what I am telling is anthropology has a long tradition of research to know about secrets of another culture. Can we share the slides, please?
Yes.
Yeah. So the topic today is ethnographic research tradition. How do ethnographers, a very specialized type of social scientist, how do they conduct their field work? And the whole field work is qualitative research. And I told you the other day, qualitative research is living in a community, making friends, finding informants, and gradually, through experience, understand the secret, the way the people live there. And later on, towards the end, they also collect certain quantitative data. So it is a method mix. I will elaborate how. Next, please. Can you identify what is happening here? There are a lot of cultural symbols here. This is about India. If any Indian saw, he will cry, what is this? Can you identify what is happening here? They are wearing dress like you, pant and shirt, and they are on the road. Any
Kira-kira
guess?
ada apa nih?
It's like using drum band, like use drum.
Music.
Yes, a speaker. This one.
Yeah,
With some Indian leather.
Yes, very good.
And I see the man in using yellow
dress.
dress.
Yeah. Who are they in yellow dress? Who might be there?
Is it a drumstick or not? Like what is handle of a drumstick maybe or not?
City, I don't.
And some people in a crowded situation, they gather in one area.
Very
in
smart.
The point.
Very
They
smart.
are using uniform?
Yes, the man using uniforms like I think like drum people who play a music, like you need the uniform.
They're playing music on the road.
Yeah,
right.
Playing music at the road because we know that this is a big speaker, right?
Yes. Yadi, can you guess?
Ya.
Yeah. Further.
Jadi kira-kira apa? Ayo semua kira-kira ini lagi
It's like a
apa?
marching band maybe ya, like a marching. No, marching band.
Oh, saya melihatnya seperti mereka berkumpul menyuarakan aspirasi gitu ya.
Iya.
Mahasiswa mungkin. Apa kira-kira apa? Bilang aja dalam bahasa Indonesia nanti saya ya. Yang lain?
Ya mungkin Bu.
Silakan.
Yes, you have almost reached India. This is a marriage party. This is a marriage party. People are going on the road to the bride's house and they are playing music. Yeah. The people in the yellows are the bandmen and the others are from the groom side.
Oh.
And they are going to the bride side. Okay. So culture is something that we have to understand by living there. So just seeing the band, seeing the speaker, you think it's a music going on. No. On the roads, they do not play music. They do not do anything. But this is a marriage party. It's a great time. They are going to celebrate at the bride's house. Anyways, next slide, please.
Yeah, I thought it was a demonstration.
Thought it was a demonstration. That's it.
Because we have a lot of demonstration here.
Culture has to be understood by staying there, by seeing what happens outside. Very good, very good. Next. So ethnography is all about studying culture. And what is culture? Culture is the knowledge or action that people have in a certain area. When you live in a group somewhere, say like your university, the hostels, when the boys stay in a hostel, they have a certain culture. When to get up, what to do, when to go in another person's room, how to behave in the mess cafeteria, how to behave in the dorm. dormitory, all that becomes a part of living in the university. Similarly, in any society, any group, after living for many years, they develop certain rituals, certain ways of behaving. So culture is knowledge that people have. Culture is knowledge, like the knowledge about the bulls. To me, it was only there are two bulls very much decorated and somebody is driving fast. What you say, it is part of a great culture, agricultural culture, and that this is held when there is a harvest season or a sowing season. They are decorated so much, and there is a competition, there is a prize on it. So that means it's a cultural knowledge, how from years they have cultivated this. So culture is also seen in the behavior, the way people behave. I tell you, it's very strange. If you go to America, you find that people take so much care of dog that you become envious. There might be people who do not have blankets out in the street in winters, but the dogs have quilts. Dogs have very warm beds. This is American culture. They give very much importance. If the dog goes hungry, if a dog goes in the winter, they say that how cruel people are. So much importance to dog. But this is their culture. This is how they have grown up. If you come to India, we worship cows. Americans and Europeans always say that the Indian culture is very wild. They worship cow. We worship cow like a mother because it gives us milk. Its products are very much useful to us. So from centuries, this culture has developed. So cow is no more an animal for us. Cow dung is no more a waste for us. This has to be used to purify the house. So culture is something that the people have gathered over the years. And that you cannot know by a questionnaire, by giving a schedule and taking the answer. You have to live it, experience it, and then understand from the perspective of the people who are living it. Culture is also about artifacts. You know, artifacts, things that you carry, like specs. The specs is an artifact. The hijab that city is wearing is an artifact. Only one who knows Islamic culture will tell that she is a lady wearing a special type of scarf to protect the womanhood. So you understand, culture is in the mind, culture is in the dress, culture is in the lifestyle. The way you live indicates a certain culture. And that cannot be interpreted by the outsiders just by looking or asking questions. So culture includes everything that people know, people think, and people have in position. For one of my friends in UK, he said that, you know, I feel very bad in my office because when I look from my office window on the 10th floor, I see my car, a very small car, looks like a baby amongst other cars. Car is a symbol of prosperity for them. So that is a cultural thing. That if you have a limousine, a big car, then you are a big man, you are in a big position. And this is not true in many places. So what I'm saying is, what you know, what you think, what you have on the body or in your house, all that indicates a particular culture. That is why I asked Ganang that what is there on the cupboard? I cannot understand cupboard, what that police thing, police medal was a symbol of something that his father had done. No? And only after asking I could understand, and still I do not know who has given this medal. What kind of achievement, for what kind of achievement, which kind of medal is given. So this way, if I enter inside, I will understand the culture of the place. Right? Next please. And this is the science. And the science that studies is known as ethnography. Literally means ethno means culture, the way people live, the way people think, the way people behave. And describing this culture is known as ethnography. It involves anthropologists. The scientists who do it are known as anthropologists. They study science and then specialize in society or culture. And they do it by staying in the community, very intimate contact. Since last week, I have almost felt that Ganang is part of me. He's my student. I can recognize him. This intimacy will develop more when I stay on the campus in his university. I go to his dorm. If I take food in his cafeteria, we'll get to know more and more. By only spending half an hour on the webinar, we chatted for half an hour in the night on WhatsApp, no? And we disclosed many things about each other. So intimate contact is required if you want to understand another person's culture. And the purpose is to learn how they see the world, to learn how they interpret the things that they are doing. So if you look from an American point of view, the Indian sacred cow looks like an irrational idea. It looks like they are barbarians. They are in the old ages. But if you look from the point of view of Indian and a Hindu, you find that they have their own ways of respecting things and doing. Next, please. Ethnographer necessarily has to go to the place. I will tell you a little later that it is fixed. For masters, at least 2 months should be spent in the field. For PhD, 6 months to 1 year, they stay in the field, and it is a very rigorous exercise. In one of the African state universities, I was teaching mid-career students extension education. And it was essential. They were all agriculturists, veterinarian, who had worked at lower level in the field, and they had master's research, the senior research. And in that research, they will bring their own problem. And they have to stay in the problem areas. They have to observe things and develop their experiments. So this staying there is very much essential, that they will stay in the field, make their residence. They will not commute from city, that I will live in Kedri and come to the university. No, you have to stay in the village. This is very essential. Do you know why it is essential to have a residence in the village or in the community where you are researching? Because then you become insider. Slowly and slowly, you become used to things and start absorbing the way things are happening. You see a pattern. So your staying makes a lot of difference, because you know what is happening in the night, what is happening in the rainy season, what is happening on the odd days. This is very much essential. Talking with the people. And I'll tell you that they start with a very, very different kind of talking, and that is they find out key informants who know more about the place. I will discuss who are the key informants. Then interviews are conducted. First, randomly, they conduct interviews. Wherever they go, they see things and make in-depth interviewing. This is not the interviewing with a schedule. It's not interviewing with a questionnaire. It is an in-depth interviewing. That means they will carry on like a conversation, and whatever the answer comes, then they will ask further. So this way, slowly and slowly, they enter into the mystery of the place. They want to, as if you are unraveling, as if they are discovering something, exploring something. Eating together, eating with them is very much essential. So that you know what do they eat, when do they eat, what is the way of eating. I was very much surprised in the Harmaya University in Ethiopia. When I went there, I found that the president of the university is having his lunch with his driver. This is unknown to me. We had British influence. There is a lot of hierarchy in our university. And both of them were having lunch, and the lunch was in the same plate. In the same plate, at two places, the meal is there and they are having it together. It was very hard for me to understand why it is happening. What is happening? Why do they eat together? And then later on, whenever we went, our friends, Indian friends, went to a restaurant in Ethiopia, they gave us only one big plate and meals at three places. I asked, why are you giving in one? Well, because you are friends, you will eat together. Is that the way in your place, Indonesia? If I order for food, if we are 2 or 3 people, will they give one plate or 3 plates? City, what is the norm? If I go to a normal Indonesian restaurant for food, and we are three friends, we order for food, will they give us one plate or three plates?
Sorry, I cannot hear you well.
I'm asking that if I go to a restaurant in Indonesia and ask for food for three friends, will they give me one big plate or three plates?
Three
Separate.
plates. Three
Separate.
plates.
Oh.
Yeah, separate plates. Yeah.
But there, they always gave one plate. So we have to tell, no, give us three. They ask, why? You are friends, you will eat together. You know, Islamic brotherhood, that eating
Yes.
together.
Yes, that's right. In traditional Islamic boarding school, they eat together in a big one plate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even the Christianity is orthodox and even the Islamic is followed like this. So even in the Christian restaurants, if they are not 5-star or 3-star, they are giving plates like this. If we are friends, it will be together. So this was very awkward for me. Why it is happening? And it was awkward for them. They said, oh, you Indians are very different. Why do you eat separately? You are friends, you have come together, you enjoy together. So that means eating and gossiping is very much part of understanding the culture. Watching dances, fairs, meeting events. I mean, you have to hang out at different places to understand what is happening and why it is happening. First, you will observe, and then later, you will understand by talking with them. So, an ethnographer, in fact, engages in experiencing the culture. This engagement, being there, trying to understand it is essential. And for that, they have to have a discipline. There are rules. There are ways to study it. So before they go, the ethnographer goes in the field, he does a lot of reading of the literature. He understands from the novels, from the films, from the literature about that particular culture. And then he also sees movies. He sees the newspapers in English and tries to understand what are the things that are very prominent there that is happening so that I can have a clue. Somebody rightly said that an ethnographer, a social scientist, is a spy in a social group. He's a kind of spy. He's spying. He's trying to find out the secret. And the secret is the cultural knowledge. Secret is the cultural behavior. Secret is what people understand. Yes, next please. Another. City, another one. Next slide. Yeah. Oh, you are very much familiar with this. This is the same coffee break in the paddy field. And this was very difficult for me to understand what is happening here. Who is the farmer and who is the officer? And you taught me that the man sitting on the right, who is not wearing a hat, is an officer. He is an extension person, and the others are farmers. Our farmers are not like this. So this is a cultural knowledge for me that on the coffee shop, there is a meeting or discussion happening. And even I did not know the farmers have a coffee break. In our country, farmers do not have a coffee break. They eat in the field. So this is a cultural knowledge. And cultural symbols are there. Many cultural symbols are there. Next, please. Yeah, I showed you the other day. Does anybody remember what is there? Not city. City knows. Others. What is happening here?
Students?
Big banyan trees. Looks like some structures. Is it a
What is
playing?
this?
Is a playing ground?
A place to pray.
Hey, Abdul Rahman, very nice. You remember? Yes, this is praying sun god. This is Chhat Puja. This is made very special so that the woman can pray before the rising sun and the setting sun in this month, 6 days after. Yes. Next, please. Cultural symbols. We see and we do not understand unless we engage. So culture is indicated by the values that the people have. Values means things you give importance to. In urban areas, people give importance to dress. In rural areas, You cannot understand the socio-economic status of the people by dress, because they do not give value to dress. They give value to land. They give value to money that we earn and other things. Beliefs. The whole human society is based on beliefs. There are different kind of beliefs. In India, there are many days. Of the 7 days, there are gods for every day. And people praying to that God believe that if it is Tuesday, I am blessed because my God is belonging to Tuesday, whatever. There are relationships that are very different in different culture, like relationship between teacher and students. I was very, very surprised to find in an American undergraduate class that professor is sitting in his chamber and a student coming on half pant and with a with a backpack, and he threw the assignment on the table and went away. He said, "Hi, prof, have a nice weekend." And this was very insulting to me. Why did he not sit down? Why did he not greet the teacher? Why did he not put gently the Asian tradition? No, the student did not have time. He threw it was deadline, last date of submission of assignment. He threw it, and advisor said, "Thank you, it is very good that you submitted in time." American culture, value of time, and not value of human greetings. Taking time to ask, "Hi, professor, how are you? Are you fine? Is everything?" So, in different cultures, the relationships are very different. So, the knowledge, as a member of the society, Indonesian society, as a member of a particular society, you have a different kind of knowledge. One may not have gone to college, one may not have gone to university, but he is leading life. He knows how to cultivate. He knows how to live with honor. So this education he has got as a member of society without any PhD, without any MSc. He understands his soil. He understands his animals. He knows how to make money out of them. Where did he learn? In the culture. By living as a member of a group, he has learned many things. So the ethnographer is in search of such knowledge that has come from a culture. Artifacts. Artifacts are things that are made there, that people make, that are made in the local areas. And they indicate there is a particular type of painting in this part of country where I am. City knows I am in Bihar, near Patna, and the kind of painting is now being painted on the railway stations as well. But it came, male Madhubani painting it is known, but only the rural women are doing that painting on their houses. And from the dungs, not from the external material, the natural materials, they make certain kind of painting, and that has been highlighted and is going to the 5-star hotels and exhibitions and everywhere. All Indian railway stations have been painted with that to indicate a particular culture. So what I'm saying is the artifacts, the kind of the bamboo products that you have, the way your coffee house was made in the picture is a new knowledge for me. I do not know. We do not have such nice bamboo made coffee houses or restaurants. So every society, every culture have their own products, their own rules and languages, which is unique in itself. How can we know about the culture or cultural knowledge? So this can be known from elders who have lived in society for a long time. They know the rules. They have seen people. They have seen the seasons. They have seen the changes. Youth, young people have a certain type of knowledge. Children who play even without many arrangements, they are able to play, do exercises. They know certain kind of things. Women who are slogging, who are doing hard labor, they understand many of the things. In India, there is already researches about gender and agriculture development, and they find that 80% of the work is done by women, especially about livestock, the animal science. Maximum work is done by the women in India. In our hills, all the works of getting fodder, cleaning the animals, all that is done by the women. So now, what I'm saying is that culture, understanding the culture, gives us knowledge about the secrets of a particular society. Next, please. There are certain terms you should understand. These are the basics of qualitative research. One is imic. Imic means insider's perspective. How do people who are living this culture feel about it? So, like your bull race, for an American, it may be another sport, but for you, it is something else. Like I told about cows, like I tell about other things. The insiders have a reference, have a respect, have a different feelings. Outsider only see what is happening there. Like you told about that band, that speaker, that people are playing band on the street. And it was a very cultural occasion, marriage party. The boys going to the girl's house and dancing and playing music as a mark of celebration. Imic is insider's perspective. Why do I do this? Etic is outsider's perspective. That an outsider from another culture, if he sees that, oh, how funny, what they are doing on the street, why they are dancing, what is this happening? They are very unruly people. There is no rule in India. You see? But insider perspective is we are enjoying. This is a community time. Marriage is a source of celebration. Symbols. Symbols means the material artifacts, things that you wear, things that you have on the body, things that you use for dishes or anything. They are called symbols because they indicate if your plate is a chinaware, earthenware, or steelware, or what, that indicates your prosperity, that indicates your abundance, that indicates your lifestyle. Informant. Informant is a person in ethnography who provides information to the researcher. So if I go to your university, I will employ Ganang as my informant because he understands about India. He told me many things about Indian films and Indian epics and episodes. So it will be very nice to talk with him. Both of
Yes.
us will make friends, and through him, I will try to understand the culture of you. So informant is a good communicator. He's a good communicator. An informant is a resident in that culture. That means he's residing for many years and knows about it. And third is he's articulate. He can explain it to the outsider. So every researcher of a culture relies in the beginning on key informants. And the key informants are those who willingly want to provide information. And they also have information. And that forms the basis to decide for the outsider, so whom else can I contact? He does not only believe on Ganang's information, he takes it as a route to decide his path, but he does not totally depend on it. He will have another informant, a little elderly one, another type, and then finally he will decide his route to research. Tacit knowledge. That means tactical knowledge, that is insight. How I do it, how I play this game is a tactical knowledge. And so this deeply embedded cultural belief is called as tactical knowledge. So the way some in the Chinese culture, all of you are very much exposed to the culture of China and Singapore and the food that they eat with chopstick. For me as an Indian, it's very difficult to eat with chopsticks, the chow mein and other things. But this tactical knowledge is very easy for a child in that culture. Cultural pattern is relationship involving the symbols like the dressage, like the jewelries, all that are a cultural pattern which you can know only if you live long enough in that culture. In India, you will find that all the married women, I might show some picture, will have a red spot here. And this goes inside. So all the married women, and that indicates that she is married. So this way, there are many cultural symbols that indicates something which you may not know otherwise. And finally, the folk terms. Can you guess what is a folk terms? Local terms that the people speak. They look similar to us, but the meaning is very different. They say that the shopkeepers have their own folk terms. The professors have their own folk terms. in university, there are many folk terms the outsider do not know. CGPA, OGPA, credits, coursage, whatever, administrative building. So folk terms means people develop their own dictionary or way of talking, and folk terms are, are the route to understand the culture. If we know the folk terms and we get the explanation, we slowly understand what is happening in this culture. Next, please. So finally, let me tell you that the ethnography depends on inside information. And I have made it clear, inside information is what people have cultivated for a long time. It is not what looks to the eyes, outsider perspective. We want imic, insider's perspective, the way people can explain. And this research is not on the internet. This research is not in the mails or telephone or Skype interviews. These are the researches done in the field. Come rains, come storm, come night, come day, they will stay there and they will do it. So a lot of preparation is needed. If I stay in your country, like in one of the countries where I stayed, I could not eat all the 7 days because I'm a vegetarian. And in the restaurants, I will not find purely vegetarian food on many days. And so I fasted. I stayed on fruits. So that means staying in the field also requires to train your body, train your stomach, your food habit. Many people, many Americans or Europeans who do research in villages in India, they get diarrhea, they get dysentery because of the kind of food that we have, very spicy food. So that means you have to adjust your body according to the climate, according to the food, so that you can stay. So staying there is a challenge, staying in the field. It describes group members' life and work. So by staying and seeing, you decide who does what in the field. What is the role of the youth? What is the role of the young? I tell you a funny story. I was a master's student in extension education. In the World Bank, wanted a new reform in agriculture in my state. So with the World Bank, there was a Japanese who had come and we were taking him to the villages. He saw the villages and he said, why there is poverty in your state? There are so many animals. Why don't you kill them and eat? Alas, he did not know that we are vegetarians and we do not eat all the animals. There are only selected animals that we eat. So that means the group members' ethics or beliefs or values have to be understood before you make any judgment about any policy. The ethnography follows standard procedures of living and learning through fieldwork. That means, how shall I observe and note? How shall I take interview and transcribe? That means put into writing. What shall I do when 20 interviews have been done? How shall I analyze? All that, there is a rule, there is a protocol. Using the key informants and our other interviews, observations, that is a staple diet of the researcher. That means our research based mainly on what we knew through key informants in the beginning, what we have interviewed, and then we also check through observation, our direct participation in the event. So if that marriage party was there, then I will attend the marriage party as a participant, getting invited through the boys' side, go there, eat, stay in the night, see the arrangement, and then write my notes as to what has happened. And then verify through the key informants that what I am seeing, is this the rational or the region is something else. Field notes are very important. I will tell you there are different kind of field notes that has to be made when a person stays in the field for the anthropological study. And the most difficult part is analysis of language and folk terms, linguistic analysis. What is this linguistics analysis? The words that come frequently, the outsider notes them down. During the talk, he notes down the different types of words and they try to find out what is the relationship between these words. By analyzing the relationship, he starts understanding the culture. When I was very young and working in the field, there was a person from Netherlands, as young as me. He came to see my work in the villages. And in only 10 days, by noting down the words that youth were speaking, he made a dictionary and he started finding the relationship between them. And he told me that if these are 10 words I use, I can do most of the work. And that is true. So linguistic analysis is trying to see the frequently occurring words in the language and seeing the relationship between them and then understanding the culture. Folk terms. Folk terms means the terms that the people use. They look similar, but then they have a different meaning and they are called as folk terms. Next, please. Ethnographic fieldwork has many steps. Step number one, how shall I enter into the community? Why this is very important, entry into the community. Whenever an outsider enters into the community, especially village community, there is a question. Who is he? Why he is wearing different kind of dress? What is his status? What will he do here? Anthropologists have written that this part is the most difficult in our research process. Many American experts have written who worked in India or Pakistan or Bangladesh have written, it took me 3 to 4 months to get a recognition as a person in that particular place because people are questioning, is he a spy? Why this American living in India, in our village? What does he want from us? Why he is eating with us? Why he is staying like us? What caste does he belong to? There are different categories of people. So what I mean is, entry into community is, how shall I get recognition as a human being? If I as a human being have to stay with them, I have to have an identity. What is my identity? If I say researcher, many times villagers will not understand that why a researcher, what is there to research? We are illiterate people. We are ignorant people. What will he know from us? We send students there in the villages to do research and they have a lot of problem. They say, why do you come, young man? Wearing the modern dresses, why do you come? Why do you ask these questions? Are you from government? Does government want special information on us? So entry into community and getting recognized. This is a big challenge. City, will you help me? How will it happen if I go to an Indonesian village? What will be the reaction of the people? And I say that I am here to do research. What will they say?
I think they will say, what does he wants to know about us? Yeah, because yeah, this is our regular life. Yeah, it's a very ordinary life. So what he wants to know about us? Yeah, I think yeah, that's that question. Yeah.
I went to a village in Somalia. They were pastoralists, all the keeping animals and moving from one place to another. And one of my students was doing research on clean milking, a demonstration, experiment on demonstration for clean milking. And this was a village like a forest. And we went into the village, I sat down, and my student brought the villagers, all the villagers assembled, and they asked that about me. They said that he's a professor, he's teaching us, and this is the research I'll be doing. You know the question that the villagers put? The villagers said that, what kind of bull should we offer him? They said that whenever in that their Islamic tradition, in that particular tribe, whenever a guest comes, the best of the bulls would be offered to him. And I was in a fix. I'm a vegetarian. I have never tasted anything else. So I prayed to them that thank you very much. Well, no, everybody from the house, every house, food would be coming at the central place for the guest. And it is the guest who has to choose. So everything came there. I had brought my own fruits and I thanked them, I prayed them, and I said, you start your food. Then my student explained to them that he is not abusing you. He is not used to this food. He said, thank you very much. He is very much pleased. And he asked you to begin the food. They began the food, and I also ate my own food. And it was very embarrassing for me that I'm not eating with them. Do you understand me? The cultural question, entering into a community. So, will somebody tell me what will be the best way to enter into a village community in Indonesia? Be it Java, be it Bali, anywhere. What will be the
Okay.
best? Abdul
Yeah.
Rahman. Abdul Rahman wants to say something. Hello? Abdul.
Abdurrahman ya. Gimana caranya? Cara terbaik untuk memasuki sebuah komunitas di desa-desa di Jawa atau di desamu. Cara terbaik supaya bisa diterima oleh masyarakat. Kira-kira bagaimana caranya? Sebagai orang asing masuk ke dalam sebuah masyarakat baru, kira-kira bagaimana caranya supaya bisa diterima?
Menurut saya, halo, jelas Bu?
Iya jelas.
Ya, menurut saya menyesuaikan diri dengan mereka. Jadi misalkan kayak cara berpakaian, kemudian cara berpakaian terutama yang bisa dilihat. Ketika kemudian mereka biasa memakai sesuatu, ya kita menyesuaikan dengan itu.
Yeah, he said that how to adapt with the community is to dress similar with their community, the community. Ya, mungkin ada sesuatu yang lain, memberi sesuatu atau mengucapkan sesuatu, berbuat sesuatu yang bisa diterima selain berpakaian yang hampir sama.
Ya. Bisa juga untuk kemudian kita sebelum datang satu daerah bisa mencari informasi berkaitan dengan budaya yang ada di desa tersebut begitu.
Abdul Rahman said that we have to dress like them and then get information about their culture so we can adapt the norms and the values of the community. Said that.
Very good. Residence and adaptation. Where should I have my residence? Where should I stay? Should I stay with one of the families, or I should stay alone, or I should stay at the central place? There are many decisions that a researcher has to take. Many anthropologists say that do not be dependent on any one person. Do not be too close to any one person, otherwise you will be told as biased that he's living with him and they will identify. So taking residence and adapting to the wage, if it is very different from my place, so one has to adapt the routine, the cultural practices. Many places the water is not sufficient, so you're bathing and everything has to be adapted according to the culture, and one should take time. So that is why in PhD 1 year of residence and field work is required, because it is not that you go there and you become comfortable. You go there and you start your work. Maybe you get sick because of the climate, a lot of mosquitoes, you get malaria in many places. So there are many arrangements that have to be made so that you live comfortably in that place. Movement in community. In many communities, there are restrictions about male and female, whom to talk, whom not to talk, where to enter, where not to. Can you go inside the house or you cannot go? In many Indian families, you will be only entertained up to the outside as a male. You will not be requested to come inside unless you are a friend or a relative. So there are different norms in the community as to where you can go or where you cannot go. Finding key informants. Shall I get the kind of people who can give me cultural knowledge? These key informants are almost like a teacher. They might be younger, they might be student, they might be children. But the spirit is that it is the key informant through which I understand about that culture. So there is a sense of being a teacher, that he is a teacher. and I will learn from him. So I have to respect him. No matter what is his socio-economic status, no matter what is his educational status, he is a farmer or illiterate, I have to respect him. And in many a times, I have to give a gift to him while I am going out. It may not be very expensive, but as a man to man or human interaction, I must thank symbolically for the knowledge he has shared with him. So anthropologists have a different type of responsibility, ethical responsibility, that I am not the one who will collect data and go away. But as a human being, I cultivate a friend. If I can help, I can help, or I will thank him and part with a symbolic gift so that we can remember the services. No, at no place you have to cheat people just to get information. There are certain ethical concerns about it. Next, please. Next slide, yes. Key informants in the beginning are the main source of inside information. It is through them that we start gathering our senses as to how to understand what is happening in the community. They are the people who have lived there for a long time and they know the reason behind things are happening. They are willing to cooperate with the outsider. Some people have a nature that they like outsiders, they want to tell them, they want to communicate with them. And like teachers, the outsider depends on them for the cultural knowledge. But I tell you, they are not the only one on which he depends. In the beginning, he gets the basics from them, but then later on, he develops his own ways to verify them from other people or observe them. It is in the beginning that there is a lot of support through the key informants. Next, please. In doing the research in the village, there are 4 types of things that he employs for collecting data. One is interviews. These interviews are little different from the interviews sociologists or we in our researchers do. That is, it is not always formal schedules or set of constructed questions which are given to the people. First, it is like gossips. The first kind of interview is like a conversation. Like you make a friend, you ask them, what is your name? But in anthropological tradition, you ask a broad questions like, will you please introduce me about your life? Like, tell me about your day. What do you do in a day? And then when he says that I go and pray, I have my first azan at 4:45. Oh, what is this azan? Tell me a little bit about this. What is the importance of this? What all you do before you go to do azan and all that and all that. That means please back. No, look back. It has moved far ahead. The slides we were at, back. The tools, back.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, right here.
Okay.
Back, this. So interviews are one conversational like interviews where you are just getting deep into the process, trying to understand. Once you do that, then another second set of interviews may be with an interview guide. Now that you understand, you have certain points written in your notebook, but they are not formulated questions. Interview guide are set of points that you want to discuss with them, about which you want to know, and you develop open-ended questions about them. Oh, tell me a little bit about the bullfight that you told me. What is the competition? Kindly elaborate it. Like that, one by one, you go to, oh, you live in the dormitory. Okay. How many people live in the dormitory? What is the sitting arrangement? Does the university give you a dormitory free? Or you get like that? You have certain points to ask. So first is a conversation. Another is interview guide, that is with certain points. And if you really develop up till now and have some understanding, then you will have questions. Set questions you have and that you can try to understand deeply. So what I mean is that you do not straightway make the questions. The idea is first I understand the culture, I understand the way they explain it, and then I will ask systematic questions from them. This can be done in any research. That before we develop our questionnaire, we will talk with people, we will do in-depth interviewing and develop our own questions that we can ask later on the basis of what is there. Let me explain a little more how it is different from the usual questionnaire-based research. Normally, what happens in social science research nowadays in masters and PhD, that there are standard questionnaires made for different purposes. Somebody has worked on and he has developed a questionnaire. When I am going to do similar research, I will use the same questions. But if I use the same questions and those things are not available in the villages, then there is a problem. People will not respond. And that is why we have to have these different kinds of interviews to develop our own set of questions that are compatible with the culture. The second set of tool that we have is observation. There are two types of observation I will show. One is participant and another is non-participant. In participant observation, you are part of the culture. Somehow, you convince them to allow you to be there all the time. Like any other member of the society, if this is a marriage party, if this is attending the marriage, then you are there from beginning to the end, from outside to inside. You have got yourself invited. You can see everything, observe, watch, note down, ask the people and confirm. Another is non-participant. That is, you are an outsider and you are observing. People know that you are a researcher or you are doing that. That kind of observation is also possible. But then observation can be done scientifically through some tools and techniques also, like using the camera, using the audio tape or the mobile so that you can record that. But then you know that human being becomes sensitive when they are being watched, when they are being recorded. Many times we have to take permission of the people, and when people get used to the cameras, it becomes very easy to do observation with the help of tools and techniques. Third, I do not know if you are familiar with this focused group discussion. Are you familiar with this FGD, focused group discussion? This is
Yes, yeah, we are familiar with that.
Pardon?
We are familiar with that. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt that. I want the students to open the camera, please. Okay. Yeah, we are familiar with FGD.
FGD. They are familiar? Okay.
Yes.
FGD is very much popular in marketing research. And what the F means here is focused on a certain theme. They are so much powerful method of doing research and marketing that most of the product makers, the lifestyle product makers of the dress, of the design, of the watch, or of the high profile things, costly things, they first try to understand the mind of the target audience, mind of the customer through focused group discussion. There was a time in India when a certain foreign brand of shirt which was costing very much from Indian standards, and that was to be launched. And they wanted to understand whether this will sell in smaller towns. Will the farmer's sons, the prosperous farmer's sons, buy it? So from Indian standards, it was very costly 10 years back, 3,000 rupees for a branded shirt. And they came in all colors. There were different colors and very smooth, silky looking, shining party wear type of shirt, but very costly. The company wanted to understand, will the small town people buy it? They did very small sample of focused research in certain prosperous areas, rural areas, and in a fair-like situation, when the farmers were moving around, the farmers' sons, youth were moving around, they showed certain advertisements and asked them that what are your ideas. They did a 30-minute discussion about it, and they noted down different points about their preferences, about their opinion, about the color, about the texture, about the style of the shirt, and everything. And they designed, advertised, and it sold exactly. The orange color shirt was very much popular amongst the rural youth, and it was bought by the prosperous farmers' sons. What I'm saying is, FGD is a way to enter inside the mind of the people. FGD is done on small samples, but then it is so sharp a tool, so sharp a discussion that it brings out the different kinds of opinion of the people. I'll talk. Case study, you might know, you might have studied in your course the case study, when where we take very few number of people but understand the problem in depth, as to say, like one of my students were working on information needs of livestock farmers, and we could have done a research, uh, a research on survey or questionnaire. We did not do that. What we did was that we did focused group discussion with different kind of livestock farmers. Those who have large number of livestock, who have specialized, and then we came out with what kind of information needs are there and how that can be satisfied. To the utter surprise of our scientists, the farmers needed information on the aspects that scientists were not thinking about. And we brought out a newsletter on the basis of that. So what I'm saying is that case study, even on small number of people, it gives us a depth information about the people and their problems, and diagnosis can be made. Next, please. Yeah. Now, what are the tools in the preparation or the protocol of the research? There are certain documentation that has to be done in the field. One is called, you have to have a small diary that you can put in your pocket diary, and a jotter pen. So every time you see something new, you will write it down over there. The jotter is a must. Whenever you hear a new folk term, you will note it down. When there is a new sound or a new thing that you see, you will note it down to verify further. Second is, every student has to maintain two types of diary. He has to write it down every day. One is the diary of the events that has happened today. They call it daily logbook. Logbook, how your time was spent, what things you did today. Even if you are sick, you have to write, I was sick today, it was a bad weather, I could not work, I worked only half time. Because this accounts for what all has happened in the field. This can be a guide for other researchers who go into the field and does something. He writes that today was a rainy day, there was no farmer, so my work could not be done. I was reading a book today and spent my whole day in the residence. So one is a log diary where you write whatever you do, the expenses you make, and the way you spend time. Another is a diary in which you transcribe the interviews, the audio that you have brought, or the notes that you have brought from the field of interviews that you entered today now in the explain in that diary. Interview number 1, the farmer's name and what happened, what is your conclusion, so that every day what all is done is documented. We tried this with our mid-career students when they were doing 3 months stay in the villages. We only made 3 visits. So in the first visit, when they have stayed for 1 month, we went there and we saw those diaries. And we could understand that out of 1 month, they worked only for 10 days. 7 days they were wasted because of one or the other reasons. So what I mean is, this also gives us accountability. If a student is there, the money that is being spent, that also can be monitored. Then visual data. Visual data may come from camera or video camera or something that the farmers make on the ground. I will tell you later what are those visual diagrams that can be possible in the community. The audio data, the community maps, the timeline of events that has happened in the village. This also can form a basis for the data. This timeline, we were doing a research on an NGO, 10 years they have worked and we wanted to know the impact. So instead of asking every person, what we did was, we gathered the stakeholders in the village, different people who have been involved, give each one of them a chit, many small chits of papers, and ask them to write, what are the events that you remember since the beginning that has happened here? Everybody wrote, I remember the first day when the program started, or the landmark when the crop was harvested, when the outsiders come from visit. So from the early days to now, all the chits, now we ask them that you arrange the chits on the wall according to the time. So people discussed, no, this is not true. This happened earlier. And when the final product came, they have arranged according to the years and the systematic way it happened on that. And we discussed that timeline. That, okay, now we understand that in 10 years, these are the events that have happened. Now let us tell what is the effect of it. What I mean is that with community, there are many types of exercises and activities that we can do. So these community maps, community timelines are also a direct way of documentation. Documentation with the help of the people. Not only I am seeing that many people, and later we can verify with other people. So these are the tools of documentation. What documents do I make in the field so that when I come back to the university, I am able to analyze my data. And also I can report my supervisors time to time what all works I have done. So everything, though it is subjective, it is descriptive, it is story-like, but it is already there. Now that we have a computer, we can transcribe on the computers. On our laptops, we can keep everything safe together. We can also, some advisors, some supervisors want that every 15 days you send data from the field so that they understand that work is going on in the field. So this way, a technique of documenting the data has to be met. I am a human being, I may do many mistakes, but if every day in a disciplined manner I note it down, this becomes very powerful tool to analyze later. Next, please. These are some of the tools which are participatory in nature. If we have our residence in the village, we become familiar with the community, then we can, in the night, or in the evening, where the farmers are meeting. In most cultures, in most society, farmers have some meeting in the evening or the afternoon. As is the case, we sit together, we can announce that today we will sit together, and as per the culture, we sit there and take one issue to discuss. And when we discuss this meeting, community meeting, then we get different kinds of data, diverse kind of information from the farmers. We can ask them, we can see the regions, we can see the differences, we can find the similarities, and with the help of moderators, with the help of other farmers, we can finally conclude what has happened. These community meetings are very much essential because they also publicize that you are here for a research work. And this research work is with the people. You also get to know the people and engage with the rituals of the community. Whenever these community meetings are held, the usual things that the people do naturally have to be done. Whatever there is to eat and drink, or for the lighting or whatever. So it has to be a very natural kind of meeting. Community mapping. Are you familiar with this community mapping?
Not yet, but is it close to asset mapping?
No, this is, yeah, almost. Like I tell you, I will, in the third session, I will go a little deeper into it. But let me tell you that this was a tool made in PRA, Participatory Rural Appraisal. This was made very famous by Robert Chambers. And what he meant was that when we become familiar, we call the community and we say that, will you please, all of you, describe me the village. And in describing the village, you try to make a symbolic representation on the ground give me of the mosque that you have, of the market that you have, the residential areas that you have. And this has to be done with the natural thing, with the grasses, with the flowers, with the sand. And maybe I will arrange some pictures. And finally, this becomes a very visually attractive map. And if you give the women to make and male to make, the maps are different. Women give more importance to things that they are familiar with or they are doing with. So this community mappings is a very good to capture the knowledge of the people, capture the geographical information that the people keep in their mind and the way they depict it. Robert Chambers has said that this has to be a very creative affair, and you have to give it full freedom to the people to use the colors, use the flowers, use the wood or anything that they think will represent the village. And they take the picture and this becomes a part of the document, because community mapping indicates what is important to the villagers. Things that are important, they are made bigger, they are made more clear, more conspicuous, more obvious. Then there are different kinds of visual maps we'll talk about. And are you familiar with transit walk? Transit walk.
Yeah, I heard about it, but I never
Yeah.
used it. Yeah.
Yes, I will tell you, and when I come to Indonesia, I will show you how it is done. A transit walk is when I go to a village, I ask people, I ask Ganang, take me through the areas where people are having their livestock. So across the village, villagers also assemble, and I go with them and ask, what kind of area is this? They say, this is a very low area. All the water stagnates here. We have this kind of rice. These are the problems. As I go through the transaction of the village, different parts of the village, people are also explaining about it, explaining about the altitude, explaining about the crops, explaining about, there was a flood here. This flood was up to the neck, and that year we had these incidences. So passing through, I don't only see the area, but also understand the events associated with it. This is a very good way to make ourselves familiar with the area with the help of the local residents. So their understanding, their past history, their cultural symbols, all of them become very much obvious here. Transit walk. So what I mean is that these are the participatory tools. These are the tools that we use with the community. And the knowledge of the community is captured in the meeting, in the mapping, in the visual maps, in the transit walk, because they want to explain to the outsiders. The more they speak, more we have chance to understand what is happening here. So this is the insider's story about the culture that they are living in. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes, it's clear. It's clear.
Gagan, are you sleeping? Are you sleeping, Gagan? Are you sleeping?
No,
Gagan, are you
no.
there?
Okay, that's good.
I just moved my table because there are several people. My cousin works back of me, so I think it's disturb our discussion. I think so. I moved my table on the left side. My cousin is playing in front of me, so I'm
Next,
so sorry.
please. No, not at all. Not at all. Next, please. Yeah. The field work is not only about capturing the knowledge, but also managing your time. You are a researcher, and within a certain time, you have to wind up and go away. You cannot stay there forever. So this, how to manage my time according to the local area, the sunrise and the sunset and the activities that happen there, we have to adjust our schedule, our routine, our eating. Somewhere the lunch break is at 12, somewhere it is 1:30, somewhere it is at 2 o'clock. In some places on Friday, universities are off at 11 for going to the mosque. Is that in your place? On Friday, what time you have lunch break? Hello? City?
Sorry, yeah.
On Friday, what time is your lunch break?
On Friday?
Yeah.
about 11:30.
Yeah. Same in Ethiopia. Instead of 1 o'clock, we used to get lunch break at 11 and we'll come 3 hours later. So it was a
Yeah.
relaxed day. So time management has to be done according to the event, according to the place. Eating, sharing, food and socializing. They are very important part of cultural fieldwork, systematic fieldwork. Unless we go out, unless we mix with the people, unless we mix with different kinds of people, we will not understand. By living with only educated people or students or people of our type, we will limit our knowledge about the culture. Taking notes, we have to make our habit of taking notes. All the time, maybe you cannot use audio tape or videotape, but then afterwards, when they become familiar with these instruments and they do not mind, we can also do that. Writing my own diary, apart from those time logs, is very essential to understand my own feeling during that time. Many times in the field, we feel very lonely and depressed, especially when we stay in another culture for 4 months. So then these emotional diaries will be a secret to our living in the area. Transcribing the interviews, because they say that as soon as the interviews are held, they should be described. Otherwise, you will forget the details. This is also true for observation. As soon as the observation is done, it should be noted. So we should have our own shorthand or symbols to note the things and later on to explain it. Systematic field works means that when I'm working in the field, how efficiently I can collect data, note it down, and later explain it so that I do not forget it later. Next, please. Observation. This observation is not a casual observation that I see, because our eyes may deceive us. What we see may not be the reality, because we see and interpret things from our own way. So how to use this method of observation so that we can use it as a data. Next, please. Observation can be a very simple observation. Like when I'm in a class, I observe the student. What do I observe? I observe their eyes. I observe their posture. Are they relaxed? Are they focused? Are they straight? I observe their behavior. Are they looking at the watch all the time? So that means verbal and non-verbal behavior both has to be observed. And when we combine both verbal and non-verbal, we can understand what is happening there. So simple observation and technical observation. Technical observation is on certain issues. Like if I am observing teachers teaching in a class, I will do a technical observation. How did the teacher begin the class? Did he tell some story? Did he give some introduction? Does the teacher ask questions? How is the voice of the teacher? What does he do when a student answers? So I will have technical points on which I will see what is happening and what is not happening. So technical observation always is on a schedule. We develop a schedule as to what all shall I see. Like I was doing observation of a television research. We had developed a 30 minutes film on tomato seed production, and we wanted to test whether the farmers like it or don't like it. So we developed a technical schedule, clip by clip. There were 60 clips in it. For each clip, we made points as to on which clip farmers gives more focus, on which clip farmers relax or talks with each other. So by observation, we collected points about how much interest farmers are taking in a particular video, how enjoying this is. This is also very much popular in media research. Observe the audience, their verbal and non-verbal behavior, and then count how much of interest is being taken. This is very much useful also for hypothesis generation, that what is the relationship between the two variables. The scientists use observation. They use very observation with the machines, and they see in different temperatures what are the readings. Similarly, we do observation in a natural setting, in a social setting, and we can do it with greater accuracy with the help of the cameras, with the help of audio, with the help of certain devices. I do not know whether you are familiar with it or not. In education, in child education, there are ways of observing the child's learning. Say, especially for 3 years child, 4 year children who are playing with toys, in room, different kind of toys are given. They are just kept. Children are kept there, and room is closed from outside, and there are glasses through which you can observe. So you see which toys the farmer is picking. The child is picking. What does he do with this? Does he speak with other children? Does he share? What does he do? Does he make different kind of arrangement? So this way, we are able to observe from outside the behavior of learning of the child and make conclusion out of it. What I'm saying is that, like the natural scientist use observation, we can also use observation to know about social behavior. And this can be done with tools and techniques. We can do it with a schedule, with points written, and we can see whether this is happening or not happening. This is very much convincing because the data collected, we can make certain analysis and give judgment to people, and people will find that, oh, you have observed, not just simply by asking. Even for people who cannot express, observation can be done. So what I'm saying is, this is one common method in natural sciences and social sciences. But we have a difficulty. When people are being observed, they become conscious, no? When teachers are told that they are being observed about their teaching skill, they become conscious. They start behaving differently. When students are told that they are being observed, they become very much conscious and behave differently. So how to do that is a question. Next, please. Observation is of different type. Casual means just looking at people and finding out what they are doing. Where is his eyes? What is he doing? What is his posture? What kind of words he uses? Casual. Systematic is on certain basis. You make certain basis and you write down whether this thing is occurring or not. How many times the person is looking to other side? How many times he is focusing his attention? How many times he is straight in the posture? Like that. It can be direct and indirect. Direct means you can observe with naked eyes, or you can observe through camera, through video camera. Video cameras are fit, closed circuit TVs are there, and you are watching through the TV. It can be controlled or a natural one. Controlled means you bring them to the laboratory or to a room, and cameras are fit, and whatever they are doing is being observed. Like many times we do controlled observation of students' group discussion. We give them topic for discussion. We tell them the way discussion should be done, and then we leave the room. There are cameras which are taking the pictures, and later on we see the pictures and we decide who has initiated, who was more vocal, who had more points, who was the leader, and make conclusions out of it. Controlled. I was not there, so that the student does not become sensitive. Natural observation is one in which you are present and you are observing the real situation. Technical observation is when you are doing it on certain points, certain criteria you are observing. Like seminars, student master seminars, we make criteria: the student's confidence, the student's oral delivery, how much marks out of 10, students' audiovisual aids, student question and answer, and then we observe that how is the student behaving on these technical points, and on that basis we give him grade. And I told you earlier, participant and non-participant observation. So what I'm saying is, observation is not a casual observation. This observation is systematic. We make certain arrangements for observation so that the data is not affected by the people who are observing it. We are using tools, that is video camera or audio tape or something, so that there is a record of what is happening and analysis can be made as accurately as it is possible. In another cases, we make list of observable points, and then on the right side we give points for frequency with which they are occurring. So we make quantitative data out of the observation we are making. Observation is a powerful tool, but our eyes have to be trained to see what we want to see in that particular situation. Next, please. City. There is a difference between participant and non-participant. When you are a member of that community, when you participate in the guise of a regular member, then you are free mixing. You can go anywhere. You can enter at all the places. You have an attachment with some person you like, some person you do not like. You conceal your true person and become a participant. There are many situations where foreigners have observed the culture in the guise of the local and had noted everything down, mixed freely with everybody, and observer may feel discomfort because of the new situation. But as a non-participant, your role is limited. You cannot always be in all the situations. But we have to decide whether we should do participant or non-participant observation. That depends on the problem that we have. How much free entry inside the situation, social situation do we want? Depending on that, we can choose whether to do participant or non-participant observation. Next, please. We have to be very clear as to what is our goal of observation. Like in the case of observing the student seminar, I'm very strict. My goal is to find out what are the things student lacking in this communication skills of seminar. In master seminar, I may ask the student to do it 3 times, 4 times before he is ready. So I make certain hypotheses that these are the skills lacking in the person. Apart from the knowledge, communication skills, his voice quality, the vocal variety, his use of eyes, use of gesture, use of posture. So, according to that, we decide what to observe. Which events, like how does he introduce, event number 1, how does he introduce the topic? Does he just start the slide and start speaking, or he gives some introduction? Second, does he give the objectives? Does he tell the purpose, what all he'll be talking about? So that means the behavior have to be observed at different points, and these points of observation have to be identified. Now, if I use videotape, what will happen? For teaching seminar to master's student, I have frequently used video cameras, and this has been very helpful tool. We have put it on some 4 cameras on different corners of the room. Student gives seminar, go back, and later on we play. And ask every student to see their film of 10-minute seminar and ask them where they are lacking. We ask the experts where they are lacking, and then we decide what improvement has to be made. This has become a very useful tool in developing communication skills among people. So that means systematic observation is also possible in the communities. If we become familiar about the different events, we can do similar observation in a scientific manner, keep records, and even quantitative data, the frequency with which certain things are happening. Next. Team observation. Here also, somebody can maintain log of things that are happening, diary. They can do, even two people can observe. One person may miss something, so there may be 3 or 4 people who are observing, and then they can exchange notes and find out. Photographs, photographs of different events, the chronological events can also give us some idea. But then in observing, we have to see how to make categories of points to be observed, how to do teamwork. If there are 3 observers, who will do what? From what angle, who will take the observation? The tools that we have to standardize. The points that we have, can they be observed? If they cannot be observed, what will be the observable points? What will be the quantification? How will you put number? And the representativeness of the sample, the event that we are observing, is it a common event or it is occurring once in a while? Because we do not sample, then all this effort is wasted. So we should have sample of different kinds of events. So next please. Sampling observation. Shall we observe the whole or the part? How much time have to be taken? Shall we observe at the interval of 2 minutes or 5 minutes or continuously all through? Methods of data collection. Shall we write down the narrative description of the activity that is happening? Shall we make field notes? Shall we make video recording? Shall we make checklist on the classified table like we do for the seminar observation corner? Huh? Checklist, and then we can tick there. We can have frequency data or rating data. What I'm saying is that observation becomes a very scientific instrument here. After doing 2-3 casual observations, it becomes very scientific because now we know what exactly has to be observed, at what frequency, and how it can be documented. Next, please. Next. Yeah. I give you some hint that the interviewing can be informal conversation. This can be with a guide, that is set of points, or it can be with certain open questions, pre-formulated questions. And then second type is structured and unstructured. That is, either we keep it closed-ended or open-ended and ask the people. Interviewing are of very different types. But in ethnographic research, qualitative, we do more of informal and some unstructured interviewing. Next, please. An interviewer is a technician. He collects data. Like in natural sciences, you have technicians, laboratory technicians who take data. Here I, as a scientist, am a technician. And my 5 senses are the tools through which I record the data. That is my eyes that observe, my ears that listen. All these become, so there are certain set of attributes that every interviewer should have. You should have patience. Every person does not answer the question as fast as I throw the question. So I should have patience to listen to him. Patience to understand. Maybe he has a problem in speaking. Maybe his first language is something else. So I have to watch with patience the answer that is coming. Listening skill is very important. Listening to what is being said and listening to what are the non-verbal behavior. Both is essential. The more you become patient, the more you listen, the more you understand what he is trying to say. It is not a question of shooting the questions and getting the answer. Asking and waiting, clarifying. He should have good knowledge of culture and the language. Most of the ethnographers do a lot of reading, consult the experts, see the movies, and try to make themselves adaptable in the culture and language so that they can make some sense. So by the time you come to the interview, you should be sensitized. You should be sensitized about the psychology of different kinds of people, the way they behave. You might be used to a certain kind of behavior, a certain kind of courtesy. And according to culture, you should have ability to enter the precise information, tell the right thing that you want to ask. It is almost like conversation skill, making a gossip. Making a gossip. How do you make a gossip? How do you open? How do you continue? How do you verify? You need certain courtesies. You need certain courtesies in the course of the interviewing so that the person feels quite comfortable. Knowledge of terms that you are using, the content on which data is to be collected. A good interviewer must be a good human being to understand another human being. Mechanically shooting the questions and getting the answer is not the deal. The deal is with understanding. And that understanding will count only when you are patient, you listen, you try to understand the person, and then you collect the data. Next, please. To get the right kind of data, it is very important to gain the confidence of the interviewer. Because if he is not convinced that you are the kind of, so a lot of time has to be spent in introducing yourself, telling the purpose of your research, why you are there. And once they understand and they are convinced, the game begins. So it's almost like building a relationship with a new person. And then slowly and slowly, you enter the interview smoothly. You understand his pace of speaking. Wait for a long time for the answer. Sometimes answer may not be forthcoming. Many times you ask the question and he becomes silent. You also become silent. And then silence will give a pressure to them to answer the question. Many a times you have, when he is speaking, you just have to say, yes, good, I agree. And let him flow with the information. They say that in the psychological counseling, a patient does not always tell his problem. But when he is telling the problem, the psychologist just listens and encourages him to speak by the, yes, I know, I also have faced this. So there are different positions that you have to take. Sometimes you have to encourage, sometimes you have to be silent, sometimes you have to be questioned, encountered. Is that true? Does it happen? If he is exaggerating the data, you have to say, sir, do you think it happens in all the cases or it is a very special case? So what I mean is that even sometimes probing, when you have confusion, you should have the tactics to probe, go get inside, investigate. What else will happen? What I mean is an interviewer as a technician has to finish his data within a given time. Given all the human consideration, he also have to give consideration that he has to finish. It takes a lot of time. A good interview takes a lot of time. And so we have to understand by experience how efficiently we can collect the data. Whenever I am conducting thesis examination, I ask the student, how much time did you spend in collecting data? And when he says 1 week, I know there is no authenticity of the data. Because it takes 2 to 3 hours to collect good data, and maybe in 1 day, the interview is not finished. So what we should understand is, like any other technique, interviewing is a technique, and it takes time to refine it. Next, please. I told in active listening, our eye contact, our posture, our nearness to the person, all that matters. So, like a true student, I am looking into the eyes of the interviewer, whatever interviewee, whatever is saying. We have to show the sensitive silence and speak only when it is essential. Many times, as I said, prompts have to be given. Yes, I think you are right. Rephrasing, whenever there is confusion, we repeat. Do you think you said that? And then he will tell, no, no. Questioning, tell me a little more about it. Or will you please clarify? Will you give me an example? How does it happen? What I mean is that these oral skills has to be practiced in depending on different culture. The interviewing is an art of arts. It's not only going and shooting question, but also sensitively listening and understanding the human behavior. Some people are ready to tell their things, only they need a little encouragement. Next, please. If we try to bind it into steps, so the first step is when you introduce, second is when you initiate, tell me about yourself, will you please introduce yourself, will you tell about the village, and then systematic questioning on the different points that I have in mind, and then probing, investigating for more explanation, for more examples. Show me how does it happen? What is the festival like? Will you please elaborate for me? Many a times when the information is contrasting, we confront. Well, sir, in another village, I found like this. Can you tell me how it happens? Confronting. And then all said, every interview must be closed with a positive end, thanking him, showing gratitude, and telling, sir, I learned a lot from it. And this is the information I learned, is part of human interview. You are not a machine. Next. Yes, we have done. Next, please. We have done this. Next. Yeah, this is a little different. I wanted to keep it because asking and observing. Many times when we go with interview schedule, we ask and write down, what is your age? 60, and write down. No, this is not done. In qualitative research, we also have to observe. So we have to practice how to observe and write together. This takes time. This takes training. But then how to record my observation along with the interviews, asking, seeing and writing, how to develop my notebook with different columns to do this, how to collect local classification of the terms, drawings, so that our data is descriptive in nature and we do not forget. What I'm saying is, in ethnographic research, the interview is not a time only to ask. It is also a good time to observe different things, to record them through pictures, through symbols, certain things that they are telling and I am not understanding, and recording with their permission. This will give you a lot of leverage when you are writing the reports. Next. The closure part, you must ensure that you have summed up, you have cross-checked certain things that are missing, so that you do not go away with incomplete interview. You fill the gaps, use the courtesies to thank, the way it is prevalent in your culture. In many cultures, they pay the interviewees. In our places, we do not pay. But in some places that I have been, they provide money to pay them in terms of gift or in terms of symbolic gifts so that they feel good about it. Next, please. This is very different. Focused means only on certain type of people. Shall I do it with young people between 18 and 25? Shall I do with the progressive farmers? Yes, City, I also see the time. Thank you. Yeah, I've seen already. Yes, I'll close. So there are three types of people in this. That is the group that we invite, a trained moderator, a person who is good observer, who is a good conversationalist, and a person who can write down in shorthand exactly what is happening. So on a tightly focused area, we conduct focused group discussion. We ask questions that are most relevant to the people. So if I ask about television program, first I have to ensure that these are the people who have seen those programs. So they form the members of the focus group. And we are doing the focus group to ask about those programs. There is a moderator and there is an observer. And we give them certain questions. We tell them certain questions one by one, and there can be different kind of views. So there is an observer who is also listening. The moderator is listening. He's trying to see which side has a majority, which side is saying something different. All things are noted, and whenever there is a need, they ask to clarify why you are telling like this, why you are telling like this, and until a conclusion comes. So this way, we generate a conclusion as to how these people form opinions about a particular program or a product. So focus group discussion is very good because it is free flowing, and both the verbal and non-verbal observations are being taken, and the discussion closes with a consensus that these are the differences, these are the similarities, this is the trend. And scientifically, it has been seen that focused group discussion give a very good indication of the opinion people hold about something, because this is done with a target group, a group which uses that particular product. Next, please. Next. Last. Next, please. Next. Next one. Only disadvantage is that representation, unless you select the right kind of people, the data would not be right. The interpretation is subjective. That is why I said that trained moderator is kept, and there is high cost per participant. We have to compensate them in some way. In marketing research, we compensate them by gifts or souvenirs or a gift hamper or whatever. The advantage is fresh ideas from the field are coming. Clients are interacting. So we know directly that what kind of opinion are held by them. Or I will say that we have to get ourselves trained in FGD. It becomes economic in the long run. Next, please. There is something we should consider, that qualitative statement of participants has to be analyzed in terms of categories, because they are saying this is very good because we have this experience. All these subjective judgments have to be classified. Their frequency has to be seen and analyzed according to the characteristics of the consumer or the target audience. So finally, we come to a conclusion which is very much quantitative in nature based on the analysis. Next, please. Questions.
Tugas ya.
Yeah. How is ethnography study different from general social research? Anyone can speak here. I will not give you 1 week's time. How is ethnographic research different from other social research?
Apa bedanya etnografi dengan social research yang lain? Ayo, sudah dijawab? Udah mau maghrib nih, yuk. Come on.
Is it different or is it similar like other researchers?
Temukan perbedaannya apa? Salah satu perbedaan aja. Ya, silakan. Mas Abdurrahman, mungkin?
Anyone?
Boleh Bu, untuk ethnography studies itu lebih menitik beratkan kepada budaya atau antropologi pada manusia. Jadi interaksi pembelajaran terkait dengan satu budaya di satu daerah.
Okay. Yeah, he said that the researchers have to interact with the community culture and also he learns to participate with the community, enter the community itself.
100%. Abdul Rahman. Very nice. A grade. Next, is it essential to stay in the villages? Another person. Muhammad
Ya.
Hasnu.
Yang
Muhammad.
lain?
Yes.
Penting enggak? Okay.
Is it essential to live in villages?
Try to answer.
Yes.
Try to answer, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to answer.
Me, Kanang want to answer.
Yes, please.
Yes, I think it's essential. It's
Why?
important because if we try to do some research about ethnography, I think it was essential to be work in community in villages because we all know the culture. We can gather and obtain all the data in the villages. So I think it is very important for us to get a fast adaptation to the villages and the
Wonderful.
culture.
Wonderful. Very
Thank you
nice.
so much.
Very bright. Yes. What kind of people make good informants, key informants? Karismullah. Karismullah.
Karismullah?
Yeah. Today you are caught. What kind of people make good key informants? Key informants.
Informan yang baik itu yang gimana?
Ya.
Mas Harismullah.
Ya Bu.
Mas Harismullah, keinforman yang baik itu yang bagaimana?
Jadi informan yang baik Bu ya.
Iya.
Informan yang baik itu mungkin kalau menurut saya itu pertama terbuka, terus apa namanya jujur dan apa namanya itu sih Bu.
Udah, itu aja.
Iya. Okay.
Yeah. He said the key informer must be open to outsiders, and he is honest about his condition. Yeah, and also his knowable. He know about the condition itself. Yeah.
I like the answer and also the smile with which you spoke. Very nice. So, Siti, I am very happy to have these students together.
Thank
who
you
are so
very much.
who listen to it, and the non-verbal is very positive. Even at the end of 1.5 hours, they are smiling. It's a pride for any teacher. They should be bored by now. It's been a long time. Thank you very much, Siti, for
No,
being a
you are not boring. Yeah, we have a lot of experience and very valuable knowledge today. Yeah, students, I think you can ask more question in our WhatsApp group. And thank you, Prof. Birendra Kumar, for delivering a very valuable information for us. That me, as a lecturer, also learned a lot from you. Yeah.
Not at all. Thank you very much. So nice.
This semester I'm not lecturing, but I'm studying. Okay.
No, not at all.
Oh, yeah. Please, the students do not leave the Zoom room because I had a link to have a presentation for you. Yeah, presentation. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. Birendra Kumar, and see you next month.
Bye bye. Thank you for being with me. I feel as if I'm in the classroom.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Namaste.
Tunggu dulu ya, saya mau carikan linknya.
Suaranya nggak muncul, Ibu. Suara Bu Aziza nggak muncul, Bu. Di mute, Bu.
Ya, saya soalnya ngomong sama anak.
Oh,
Ya, silakan
ini ngapunten.
diisi formnya.
Ngapunten.
Ya, sudah semua linknya ya. Oke, untuk minggu depan ya. Untuk minggu depan kita juga ada 1 kali lagi Prof. Kumar ya. Kemudian saya harap untuk minggu depan itu kita bisa 2 kali absen juga seperti pekan ini, karena kita kemarin waktu Mas Ari itu juga kita nggak absen ya. Jadi kemudian untuk pertemuan ke-11, saya ingin memberi tugas untuk nilai UAS. Nilai UAS. Ya. Kemudian untuk kelasnya Pak Marzuki ya, itu kemungkinan saya juga harus memberi 1 kali tambahan lagi, hanya 1 kali absen karena kita sebetulnya sudah 6 kali untuk pertemuan. Oke, untuk semua terima kasih. Sepertinya nggak ada tugas ya kalau sekarang ya, karena sudah dijawab secara oral tadi ya, verbal. Nanti kita sholat karena dengar itu ada tugas karena saya juga harus memberikan nilai ya. Nanti ada tugas yang kemarin sudah, kemudian untuk nilai akhir juga akan ada dari saya. Oke, saya Ari dulu. Terima kasih untuk semua. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima
Terima kasih Bu.
Terima kasih Bu.